If I ignore my alters, will they go away? Welcome to this Autistic Selves video, which will explore whether it is possible to stop being DID by ignoring the other people that share my body. My name is Naomi, and I am formally diagnosed as both autistic and DID. I am the host, and I have over 20 alters. Our collective name is Autistic Selves. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and to our other social media sites. I have been diagnosed with DID, or dissociative identity disorder, twice. First when I was 28 and then again when I was 44 years old. I am now 47 years old, and despite seeming to know most, if not all, of the alters in my system, I will still have times that I can't believe in their existence. Even when I am having an actual conversation with an alter, I will simultaneously be wondering if the alter is real. I understand that my alters are there to help me. They have helped me to survive, and they all have a purpose. They are not inside me to destroy me or to spoil my life. That is on an intellectual, logical level. Even after all these years, and after a lot of therapy, I still sometimes doubt their intentions. I still sometimes wish I didn't have them. It's the same as being autistic. I can see the positives to being autistic. I can accept that this is just how my brain is wired and understand that I will always be autistic. But I still sometimes think life would be easier if I wasn't autistic. I suppose this makes sense and is linked to my having alters in the first place. One of the reasons I developed alters was so that I could fit into the world, so that I could appear neurotypical even though I'm not. For me, the process of autistic masking developed one stage further into the evolution of actual alters, all unconsciously and without awareness until decades later. Of course, I didn't create alters because I was autistic. I also created alters because traumatic events happened to me that I couldn't cope with. I couldn't even be aware of the events at the time I was living them. I literally had another part survive the events for me, and they hold the memories and feelings that go with the event. Even today, I still have barriers in my memory, and I don't know everything that has happened to me in my life. My life is held in fragments, with different alters knowing different information. In my therapy, I try to piece the fragments together. I feel I need to know everything that happened to me, but it is impossible to hold on to the information. For example, an alter will come out to tell their story to my therapist and hopes that everyone else in the system will then know their story too. But what actually happens is that when the alter is fronting, the rest of us are pushed deep inside, and not all of us can hear what is going on. Some alters remain near the surface and can hear, but these are usually alters who have a role to protect us, and these alters usually know, albeit vaguely, what the alter has experienced. For example, Angela usually knows most of what happened to different alters and has a special connection to the littles. If our therapist doesn't treat any alter in the way Angela wishes her to, she will immediately front and push the little back inside. As Naomi, I don't have that ability. I am not an alter and I don't have access to their memories. There is a barrier between me and them. When an alter comes out to tell their story, I am starting to be able to listen to it in the moment, but mostly we record the session and I find out the information that was given by listening to the recording. This is not the same as having a real lived memory of an event. It's a bit like reading a history book and imagining what I would have felt like in a situation. I get fed up of never having proper memories of my life, of living my life as a collection of fragments. I want ownership over my own life. I want to know everything that happened to me. I want to experience everything that happened to me. But the whole point of alters is that they have lived difficult experiences on my behalf and it's not so simple as them just handing over the memories to me. Those memories are locked away inside those alters, and I can't access them, even when I try. When I first found out I had alters, when I was in my late 20s, I was confused, frightened, and most of all, thought I might be imagining it, or making it all up. This didn't help any of us progress in life and live the best life we could live. I would sit back and listen as different alters took over my mind and body, each one talking and arguing with the next one. The alters hated each other, each one wanted to be the only one. After our first diagnosis of DID, we decided that the only way to end the constant conflict and live a life of peace was to have all the alters fused together. Over time, each alter came out to get to know our therapist, and eventually the alter would decide they were ready to fuse inside another alter. We kept going on this way until eventually the final alter went inside Naomi. This final fusion or integration did hold and did feel good for a number of years. My head felt quiet, the constant babbling of alters that I had always known was now gone. I had more energy because I no longer had to share my body and time with so many others. My thoughts were my own. I could start a thought, finish a thought, remember a thought, and act on a thought. Up until then, I had never experienced the ability to just make a decision and not have others interrupt me with their opinions. In many ways, living as one person worked for me. It enabled me to feel in control enough to start a family. I feel I needed the quiet in my head in order to be able to focus fully on taking care of a newborn baby. Looking back, I feel my alters never really properly went, and they often popped out, only to quickly hide back inside again. After my children were diagnosed as being autistic, I began to realise that I too was autistic. After my autism diagnosis, my alters gradually began to re-emerge. And now they are all back, with extras, and I prefer life with them to when I was trying to live without them. I don't feel they take me over in the way that they did when I first found out about them. With therapy, we have got to know each other and have learned to respect and support each other. I am grateful to my alters because I know they have helped me, but I do still wish I didn't have them, that I wasn't DID, that I didn't have to live life in such a complicated way. I feel I switch between different parts, and so I only know some of my life at any one time. Although I don't have full knowledge and awareness, some of my alters do have full knowledge and awareness. For example, Fiona is the alter that looks after my children. She is constantly aware of everything and knows every alter well. She is at the centre of my system and also works to keep my real-life children safe. She allows different alters to interact with my children, but she is always watching, and her priority is my real-life children. She is always ready to jump in if she needs to. In my life, I have moved between not knowing I have alters, to knowing I have alters but not wanting them, to pretending that I don't have alters, to fully embracing and loving every alter. I think the best position to be in is the one that is actually based in reality. So ignoring my alters and wishing them away isn't going to be a long-term solution. That is really just avoiding the reality of the situation. I do have alters and I always will, and my task is to learn how to live life well as a system, as a collection of people. The point of developing DID is really to enable the system as a whole to forget about the trauma that has happened to it. I believe this is why it is so hard for me to remember the trauma that my alters tell me. They tell me, and then I instantly forget about it. I even forget about the existence of alters, and the system is set up for alters to hide away and not be noticed until they are needed. When I actively look inside, I will discover my alters and talk to them and know I am not making it up and that they are real. But if I choose to ignore them and distract myself with other things, I can do that too, and weeks will pass before I hear from some alters. That is how the system has evolved to be, and it was all part of trying to protect me. Overall, I would rather not have DID, but as I do, I find life easier when I focus on the positives and feel gratitude and admiration for the system I created without knowing it, so that I could survive and live a meaningful and productive life. If you can relate to what we have said in this video, then please comment below. Please share our video with anyone who would find it helpful. If you haven't already, then please subscribe to our channel and follow us on our other social media sites. We also have a fundraising page for people who can afford to make small donations to support our work. Thank you for your support, Naomi and everyone at Autistic Selves.